Welcome back to the Professor's Lab. I'm Professor V, and this is the finals of our League Cup that happened at Die Hard Games on March 29th, 2025. If you didn't know, Die Hard League happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central, featuring casual and tournament play of whatever format everyone wants. League Challenge, April 24th at 6 p.m. Central at Die Hard Games. Go see more info in this video's description and check out Pokemon's event locator for premiere and other events at the shop, such as League Challenges, League Cups, pre-releases, and more. Please hit that like button right quick, subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications, say what you need to say in the comments, and all that other good free stuff. But anyways, let's research this game of on the left. Raging Bolt on the right. Archaludon Dialga. Looks like our Archaludon player on the right is going first, and they start things off with an Ultra Ball. That card has them discard 2 cards from their hand in order to search their deck for a Pokemon, basic or evolution. Double metal discarded there is okay because our Chaladon likes to accelerate that kind of energy from the discard pile. So the Ultra Ball found a Duraludon to put into the play. You can't have our Chaladon without Duraludon, but the Pheasantipity EX start is not the greatest, as our player has to play another Golden Ultra Ball here, discarding 2 more cards, Night Stretcher and Boss's Orders, to search the deck for a second Pokemon, Basic or Evolution. And based off of the double Ultra Ball here, it's probably got to be another Duraludon. The Raging Bolt deck can take KOs on their first turn, and you don't want your lone Duraludon being KO'd on your opponent's next turn, leaving you with no Duraludon in play to be evolved. So that other Duraludon was grabbed. Our player agrees with us here and establishes double Duraludon on turn 1. Pretty costly. First one was just fine, getting rid of the 2 metal energy like we talked about earlier, but the second one, getting rid of the boss and a item card that can't be recovered. We'll have to see how it plays out for our player here as they pass things over to our left-hand side here. Our Raging Bolt with Latias EX in the active and Trekking Shoes has them draw 1 card from the top of the deck, and they can keep that card or discard it and get another card. So they chose the latter. And the shoes always come in pairs as they're taking a look at the top. They're going to discard the boss's orders to keep the next card, the Raging Bolt, and they put that on the bench. Next is a Nest Ball that allows them to search their deck for a basic Pokemon to put onto their bench. And it depends on what's in hand, but it'll be another Raging Bolt or a Teal Mask Ogerpon. And again, looks like the latter, as that Teal Mask Ogerpon EX gets put onto the bench thanks to that Nest Ball. Plenty of play in this hand here as Earthen Vessel is next, discarding a card, an energy, to search the deck for up to 2 basic energy cards. Fighting and Lightning found from the Earthen Vessel. The Lightning discarded with another Earthen Vessel to search the deck for 2 more basic energy cards to put into the hand. Professor Sada's Vitality, which we already see is in the hand, does like to accelerate energy from the discard pile, so that's why the player is aggressively discarding it. They search their deck and find a Grass Energy and a Fighting Energy off of that other vessel there to add to the hand. Now the Teal Mask Ogerpon on the bench has a powerful ability, Teal Dance, that allows the player to accelerate a Grass Energy to the Ogerpon and draw a card, as we just seen happen there. Nest Ball is found again and played. Searching the deck for a basic Pokemon to put onto the bench. Ooh, that Radiant Greninja could be pretty good to get into play. Having a 1-prizer in play is always a good position to be in the Pokemon trading card game. And this one has a powerful ability, so the Radiant Greninja gets put onto the bench. We're eyeing up what cards are in the discard pile, more importantly, the energy. Next is Radiant Greninja's concealed cards, discarding an energy card to draw 2 more cards. Remember, energy cards in the discard pile for both of these decks really is not bad at all. In fact, desired in the early game. Professor Sada's Vitality is played now. That supporter card has you choose up to 2 ancient tagged Pokemon in play and accelerate a basic energy from the discard pile to each of them. Just one ancient Raging Bolt in play currently, so that one receives the lightning energy from the discard pile, and then Professor Satos draws 3 cards after that. Was that Prime Catcher was found, so that was a good call on getting 2 Duraludon down on the other side. As a fighting energy is attached to the bench, Raging Bolt EX, it's fully powered up now. The Latias in the active uses its Skyliner ability that gives all basic Pokemon that you have in play no retreat. So it retreats for free into the Raging Bolt, and Raging Bolt is now using its Bellowing Thunder attack 70 times the amount of basic energy you discard from your side of the field. So we got 3 to discard, 210 is enough to KO the opposing Pheasantipede EX for 2 prizes on Raging Bolt's first turn of the game. Player resume on Duraludon's side, another Duraludon found, and then benched, followed by an Iono that has both players shuffle their hands, put them at the bottom of their deck, and then draw cards from the top equal to their remaining prize cards. The Raging Bolt player here should have just gotten 4 prize cards, but they're going to draw the 6 by accident. I do believe this was an accident and was assessed that way as well, if I recall correctly, because this is an easy thing to do, taking prize cards way too quickly, and then muscle memory says, okay, I don't know, early game, just get 6 cards. So I don't think anything malicious is going on here, but the judge will correct this all later. I just wanted to address it before, because I heard you guys already typing in the comments. Nest Ball is played next on the right-hand side here. Search the deck for a basic Pokemon to add to the bench, and it'll be that Origin Form Dialga V. Its real power shines when it evolves into the V-Star, but we'll talk about that as we get there. It looks like our players are just discovering, I think the Raging Bolt player discovered that they got 6 prize cards, or excuse me, drew 6 cards from the Iono when they should have gotten 4. So they're going to call a judge, and the judge is going to help them resolve it. I'm going to fast forward through the judge working things out here. Looks like play will resume here pretty soon. And then the Raging Bolt player on the left was assessed a double prize penalty, meaning that their opponent, the Archaludon player, now has to take 2 fewer prize cards to win the game. You'll see it get marked here shortly, but I don't think it mattered in this game, but just something to keep in mind that because of the extra draws off of the Iono on the left-hand side, the player on the right has to take 2 fewer prize cards to win the game. It's still the Archaludon player on the right's turn, so they play a Earthen Vessel, discarding another Metal Energy to search the deck for up to 2 basic energy cards put into the hand, and this deck just plays Metal, so as long as there are 2 in the deck, they're probably going to add 2 to the hand off of that Vessel. So they get nice and shuffled up here. Yep, they found the 2 metal energy added to the hand. And they evolve the active into Archaludon. Now the Archaludon's Assemble Alloy ability kicks in whenever it evolves. You can attach up to 2 basic energy cards, metal energy cards from your discard pile to your metal Pokemon in any way you like. So the double metal get accelerated to the active. Metal energy attached from hand to the active to fully power up this metal defender here. That swings for 220 damage, and during your next turn, this Pokemon has no weakness. Just punching the Raging Bolt that has 240 HP across from it. There's the markers signifying 2 less prize cards the Archaludon player has to take, thanks to the Raging Bolt player on the left's penalty from the Iono earlier. Now that that's all wrapped up and our golden dice are added, that Raging Bolt tank that hit there, and it can one-shot the Archaludon back. So first, the player on the left plays a Nest Ball to search the deck for a basic Pokemon to add to the bench. either another Raging Bolt EX or a Teal Mask Ogre Pawn. Just depends on what's in hand, what's the player's strategy, what's in deck and prize as well. But they're going to go for that nice full art Raging Bolt EX, add it to the bench. I think there's already a Sada's waiting in hand as well. Oh, no. Yeah, it got Iona'd away. Either way, Teal Dance accelerates a grass energy to the bench Ogre Pawn EX with its ability, and then a card is drawn. Radiant Greninja discards an energy to draw 2 cards with its ability. Pokestop, the stadium is put into play and is used now. That has the player discard the top 3 cards of their deck, and then any items discarded this way are added to the hand. So grass energy is not the worst to get rid of, or to have discarded here off the Pokestop in favor of finding a Night Stretcher and Earthen Vessel. Are you going to miss Pokestop to rotation? Let me know in the comments. I won't, as Bravery Charm is attached to the bench. Teal Mask Ogre Pawn EX, because it has 210 HP, meaning the Archaludon can KO it with Metal Defender for 220, but with the Bravery Charm adding plus 50 HP to that Ogre Pawn, giving it 260 max, it can tank a hit just like its friend Raging Bolt and protect the energy and the ability, etc. Protect that resource and resources on the board. Why they put the charm on that over the Latias, let's say, as they play a energy retrieval next to get back 2 energy cards from the discard pile. Basic energy cards, of course, in the grass and fighting are added back into the hand with that powerful item. Our player assesses their discard pile here, seeing what energy's in there, what cards they have played to better inform their next move. Eyeing up this Ultra Ball here. They really just need to find the Professor Sadas, so anything they could do to get closer to that is the thing to do. They attach a fighting energy to the bench, and they're just going to bide their time, okay, and pass things over. Not the worst position to be in, since that Raging Bolt tank that hit last, and the opponent still has 6 prize cards remaining. You're on 4. Either way, the Archaludon player on the right attaches an energy to the bench Dialga V, and then plays Earthen Vessel, discarding Iono to search the deck for 2 more Metal Energy cards to add to the hand. And the last card has got to be a supporter, right? Excuse me, since the Iono was discarded, that seems to telegraph that to me, but we'll just have to wait and see. Double Metal energy are added to hand, and then there we go. Professor's Research just gets rid of them both. Okay. Pretty good strategy there to get the energy in the discard pile, but can this research find some good stuff? Discarding the hand and drawing 7 fresh new cards. They still have access to Pokestop if they need it, but they don't want to play it as their deck's not built for it, really. And they evolve into that Origin Form Dialga V-Star, giving it more HP and access to 2 powerful attacks that we'll talk about if they become relevant. Next is Nest Ball, to add another basic to the bench, and it'll be a Radiant Greninja of their own. Now, will you miss Radiant Greninja to rotation? Let me know in the comments. That one I will miss. Earthen Vessel now discards a card to search the deck for 2 more basic energy to add to the hand if there are any still there. There are. Thinning out the deck, getting all the resources in hand and on the board are generally good strategies in this trading card game. Here, as Radiant Greninja discards an energy to draw 2 cards with its ability, Concealed Cards. Then our player takes a look at their discard pile now, seeing everything they have played, and attack the opposing active for knockout, taking 2 prize cards finally here on our right-hand side. Raging Bolt full art with fighting stomps into the active spot, and play resumes over on its side on the left. Now that Latias gets a Bravery Charm, giving it plus 50 HP, taking it out of Metal Defender range, most importantly. And then Pokestop discards the top three cards of the deck, and that was a pretty fire Pokestop there, finding a Prime Catcher and Pokegear, only discarding another Pokestop. Not bad since there's already a Pokestop in play. And then Pokegear 3.0 takes a look at the top seven cards of the deck, and a supporter card that's found there can be added to the hand. Looks like a choice between Sadas and Crispin. Crispin's interesting, but you probably continue to draw more cards with the Sadas, so our player agrees and picks the Professor Sada's Vitality, shuffles the rest of the cards back into the deck. They're eyeing up this Night Stretcher here for their next play to bring back a Pokemon from the discard pile into the hand this time, and it'll be that Raging Bolt that gets immediately put back onto the bench, followed by a Professor Sada's Vitality. This time it's super effective, accelerating a basic energy card to two ancient Pokemon in play. Each Raging Bolt gets an energy, and then Sada's draws three cards after that. There's still the energy attachment for turn, Teal Dance. You see how this Raging Bolt deck can take off. Should be pretty good post-rotation as well. As our player thinks about their next play here. All right, let's think about it here with them. They've got 4 energy in play, meaning 280. So they just need one more in play. And as long, yeah, they've got it. So they've got a KO on the opposing 300 HP Archaludon EX already. Teal Dance accelerates that grass energy to the Teal Mask Ogerpon EX and draws a card. That's powerful dancing ability. You could still attach for turn 2, right? But not before Earthen Vessel discards an Ultra Ball to search the deck for up to 2 basic energy cards to add to the hand. Okay, Grass and Lightning found this time to continue the Teal Mask chain next turn. And you can attach this turn too still, right? You can attach the Lightning to the bench, get that one powered up. But nope, gonna actually use it for more resources. Radiant Greninja discards it with concealed cards to draw 2 more cards. Trekking Shoes is found, looking at the top card of this deck. Keep it or discard it. Gonna keep that Pal Pad there. There's the energy attachment that was still there in hand of the Lightning to the bench. We've got 2 threats lined up now. A lot of energy will go away though, I guess is fair, but you just got to get rid of 5. Oh, and actually gonna, never mind, actually gonna chase and fear. And I do like this a lot better than KOing the active. This is how Archaludon can get an edge in the matchup by bending time with a Star Chronos and Metal Blast, one-shotting through those Bravery Charm. Um, let's talk about the Dialga right quick. It's got Star Chronos as a V-Star power attack, 220 damage for 5 energy, but you power it up with the Archaludon, and then take another turn after this one. So see, you bend time, take another turn. Then Metal Blast does 40 plus 40 more damage for each metal energy attached to this Pokemon. With the base 5, I think it's like 240 or so, so you can attack through the Bravery Charm with that. So our player on the left, the Raging Bolt player, is like, nope, we're not having any of that shenanigans. We're going to take this out right here, right now. With our Raging Bolt, you don't have to discard as much energy either to reach that above 280 threshold. All right, Bellowing Thunder, discarding 4 energy cards from their side of the field for 280 to take the KO on the Origin Form Dialga V-Star for 2 more prize cards. It's kind of like they're tied in prize cards now, thanks to the prize penalty, as our Archaludon EX stomps into the active spot on the left and play resumes there. As our Archaludon player looks through their opponent's discard pile and their own, trying to download as much information as possible to better inform their next decision. They bench another Dialga V. That's kind of scary because you put easier two prizes in play for your opponent. Though the prime catcher is gone already, so they would have the boss, but they don't really need to play Sadas here. Either way, Archaludon on the bench evolves, and the Assemble Alloy ability accelerates 2 metal energy to the bench, Origin Form Dialga V, getting it ready for when it evolves to use its attacks. Night Stretcher now will bring back a resource from the discard pile, a Pokemon this time, and the Dialga V-Star gets added to the hand. Luminion V gets put onto the bench, activating its ability. Luminous Sign that allows the player to search their deck for a supporter card to put into the hand, and the Iono is found. That's a good one because it'll disrupt the opponent and reduce their hand size and options for next turn. An Iono to 4 yourself is not bad with your board already pretty built up. You're pretty much committed to a Metal Defender this turn. They attach an energy from hand to the Dialga V on the bench now. Pal Pad will bring back a couple supporters from the discard pile, shuffled into the deck. In the boss's orders and Professor's research. Getting reloaded and ready to go for this Iono here. Will it be enough to slow down the Raging Bolt player, though? Either way, you got to try, as the Iono is fired off here, having both players shuffle their hands, put them at the bottom of their deck, and then draw cards from the top equal to their remaining prize cards, 2 and 4 here. Is there anything else to play? Doesn't seem like it. Something to boost Archaludon's damage would be nice, but okay, that is a pretty powerful card. The Jamming Tower is the counter stadium put into play now, and that stadium says that all the tool cards in play have no effect. So that's scary for the Teal Mask Ogerpon and the Latias on the bench. They're shivering as Metal Defender attacks the active tanks the hit, and then play resumes over on Raging Bolt side. Energy retrieval is probably just game here. They got to do 300 damage, meaning they got to get 5 energy into play, right? To KO with Bellowing Thunder. So first, Teal Dance accelerates. Remember, the energy retrieval got energy back from the discard pile, 2 of them into the hand. And then Teal Dance accelerates an energy to that Ogerpon, draws a card. Radiant Greninja discards an energy to draw 2 more cards, and there's Professor Sada's Vitality. Yeah, there's already 2 in the hand, so yeah, it's destined for Raging Bolt to take this game 1, right? They just have to go through the motions and not mess up. As okay, Lost Vacuum is the item card that has you send a card in your hand to the Lost Zone in order to send a Stadium or Tool card in play to the Lost Zone. Jamming Tower is sent to the Lost Zone, meaning those Bravery Charm are now applied again. But not too necessary here as they probably already have game, but would have been good for, it's good practice to what to do in future games where it matters more. Night Stretcher then will get back a fighting energy from the discard pile, added to the hand. Professor Sada's Vitality will accelerate energy to the ancient Pokemon in play. There's more than enough energy in play to take the KO on the opposing Archaludon with Raging Bolts, Bellowing Thunder. And our Archaludon players like, yep, let's go to game 2. Here in the top cut, the finals, top cut matches are best of 3, 60 minutes. So that means the player to get to 2 wins first. Let's say the most common condition to win a best of 3 is a player that gets to 2 wins first, takes the round down and the whole tournament. So Raging Bolt 1, Archaludon on the right 0. That's okay. There's 2 more games for the Archaludon to come back if they want. So we're going to get shuffled and set up for this game 2 of the finals. On the left, Raging Bolt EX in the active on the right. Iron Bundle, it receives a Metal Energy and Ultra Ball discards double metal to search the deck for a Pokemon, basic or evolution. And it's going to be that Duraludon. Uh-oh, very similar to game one, right? Having the Ultra Ball for your basics. The discards again, at least this first Ultra Ball discard isn't so bad, getting the double metal in the discard pile to be accelerated with Archaludon EX's Assemble Alloy later. And they found the reverse hollow Duraludon. That's what I like to see. That gets added to the bench, of course, thanks to that Ultra Ball. And then a pass. Oh no. All right, let's just hope the Raging Bolt player doesn't have everything in hand, is our Chalodon player wishing right now, right? As the Raging Bolt player on the left plays Earthen Vessel, discarding a Grass Energy this time to search the deck for up to 2 basic energy cards to put into the hand. Sparkly Fighting and a League Lightning added to the hand here off of this Ultra Ball. I didn't catch what else was in hand, but hopefully there are more actions for our Raging Bolt player. They got a Latias, so they don't lose immediately, but that's about it, it seemed. Of course, in the Pokemon trading card game, if your only Pokemon gets KO'd, you lose the game. So Fighting Energy attached to the active Raging Bolt EX, Latias EX put on the bench, and then pass. Whew, that lone Duraludon lasted a turn as the Dialga V is benched on the right, and our Archaludon player takes their turn there, starting with an Iono as a supporter, shuffling the hands, put them at the bottom of their deck, and then draw cards from the top equal to their remaining cards, prize cards. Both players do here. 6 and 6 for sure this time, as our Archaludon player assesses the draw here. You have the stadium, but I don't think you put it into play, the jamming tower, yet, because there's no tools in play, no other stadium in play to counter. So all your opponent has to do is put their own in play. And our Chalodon player agrees, and then ooh, scarily passes again with a lone Duraludon in play. Action resumes on the left as Raging Bolt EX number 2 and Teomask Ogrepon EX hit the board. Energy retrieval brings back just a grass energy this time, but that's okay. You got to do what you got to do to accelerate that energy to the Teomask Ogrepon EX and draw a card with its Teal Dance ability. There is Sadas, but no energy in the discard pile. So Pokegear 3.0, looking at the top 7 cards of the deck, trying to find a supporter there. 3 supporters found. That's kind of a tough choice too. You could diversify your options and grab the boss like our player did here, or you can grab the Sadas for chaining the Sadas. Vitality just depends though on the hand and the strategy. I'm kind of trying to look at the whole thing as boss's orders plucked out of the deck on the Pokegear with the Pokegear. Thinning one more card out of the deck. There is a Nest Ball, and I think you do play it to thin the deck out, but no, it doesn't look like the player agrees. They just pass things over to our Chalodon player. On the right, as they evolve into the origin form Dialga V-Star, now they put the jamming tower in play, signifying a potential supporter here. Yep, in that professor's research, discarding the hand and drawing 7 fresh new cards. We need our Chalodon here and energy to start swinging. So Nest Ball, I think that was, or was that an Earthen Vessel? Nest Ball to find another Duraludon to put onto the bench. No more lone a Duraludon. Only one can evolve currently, as in the Pokemon trading card game. In order for a Pokemon to evolve, they have to be in play for at least 1 turn, unless cards say otherwise, of course. As our Chalodon player looks in their discard pile, getting a metal energy count, attaching a metal to the Duraludon that can evolve. It evolves into our Chalodon. Assemble Alloy activates, accelerating 2 metal energy from the discard pile to it. The Iron Bundle in the active retreats into that Archaludon EX. You can use the Iron Bundle, which is probably good to do, probably best to do here. The player will just push the other Raging Bolt, but now you have one that's not energized in the active. So our player agrees. Uh, what's that? Iron Bundle's ability. I can't remember, but either way, its ability discards the Iron Bundle, and the opponent chooses a new active Pokemon to push into the active from the bench, and it is that Raging Bolt that can tank this Metal Defender here. 220, 240 HP means 20 HP remaining, but they survived, and they draw for turn on the left and start their next turn. We need Professor Sada's Vitality, but first that Lost Vacuum, sending Pokemon catchers to the Lost Zone to send the Jamming Tower to the Lost Zone. And then Nest Ball is played to search the deck for a basic Pokemon to put onto the bench. Just depends on what's in hand. You currently have two Raging Bolt EX in play, though one's heavily damaged. Probably another support Pokemon like the Ogerpon or the Radiant Greninja. Radiant Greninja seems to be found because, again, just having a good, or excuse me, just having a one prizer in play, a Pokemon that only gives up one prize card when KO'd, is never a bad, usually never a bad thing in the Pokemon trading card game. So Radiant Greninja established, but no energy in hand. Either way you do it, so that way you can thin the deck out and make the top decks that much sweeter. And they're actually using this one prizer strategy here, using Latias EX's Skyliner to retreat. All basic Pokemon have no retreat into that one prize Radiant Greninja. Boss's orders now brings up the heavy um, Dialga V-Star. It's got 3 retreat with no energy in the active spot to kind of slow things down here, and then just a pass over to our Archaludon on the right. With that, Dialga V-Star with no energy in the active spot, but it can attack and KO this turn. Professor's Research discards a hand, drawing 7 fresh new cards. The Dialga V-Star in the active can attack with a Archaludon found and an energy, I think. So there's the Night Stretcher. Another Duraludon established, a Night Stretcher, bringing back an Archaludon EX from the discard pile to the hand. It evolves on the bench. Assemble Alloy, being activated now, accelerating 2 energy from the discard pile, metal energy to the active metal type Dialga V-Star. Energy attached from hand. Okay, so that means Metal Blast. Remember its first attack. 40 plus 40 more damage for each metal energy attached to this Pokemon. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 160 it's currently doing. Enough to KO the 130 HP Radiant Greninja. Nest Ball is played next, allowing the player to search their deck for a basic Pokemon to put onto the bench. Another Duraludon if they've got it, or the Radiant Greninja is fine too, and that gets chosen and put onto the bench. I wasn't keeping track of Duraludon, but maybe one's prized. You can only play 4 copies of each card in the Pokemon trading card game, aside from basic energy. And other cards like this Radiant Greninja, special cards. The Metal Energy gets discarded with that Radiant Greninja to draw 2 cards with its Concealed Cards ability. And their player decides what to do. I think they're working out the math here. Does the Metal Blast KO? That 40 plus is kind of tricky to remember in comparison to 40 times, but they get there. Metal Blast for the knockout and the first prize card here. Raging Bolt on the left stomps into the active spot and play resumes there. Can our Raging Bolt player respond with the powerful one-shots that it's meant to do? The hand and the body language is kind of telling me no. There is the Professor Sada's in hand, but they're missing that important relevant energy in the discard pile. Remember, we've been talking about that. So they do a prime catcher. That pink ace spec card will bring up a benched Pokemon on the other side to the active spot, and then you do the same. Just kind of stalling again here, bringing up a heavy unenergized Archaludon from the bench into the active. They push their heavily damaged Raging Bolt EX into the active spot. Yeah, I guess you might as well push that one in the active, um, since you want to protect the one on the bench that's has the energy on it and no damage counters. And then each of the Latias and the Teal Mask Ogerpon can get KO'd with Metal Defender, so you want to protect them too. So you might as well push the Raging Bolt and pass, not the position our Raging Bolt player wants to be in. As our Archaludon player on the right starts their next turn, assessing the field and their hand. And Archaludon's all that's needed here. So Radiant Greninja discards an energy to draw 2 cards with its ability. Get some more options in hand before making this final decision here. All right, Archaludon was in hand, or found, let's say, so it evolves. Symbol Alloy accelerates a couple Metal Energy from the discard pile to the active Duraludon, Metal type. Then Metal Energy in hand gets attacked to the active, and just like that, out of nowhere, that unenergized Archaludon is swinging for knockout here with Metal Defender. As the replacement Raging Bolt stomps back into the active spot on the left and play resumes there. Here is where you top deck and then decide, do I really keep continuing this game as the Raging Bolt player with the time limit on this best of 3? Just something to consider, at least. Whether it's correct or not, because anything can happen, I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to the players, but just putting it out there is that's something to consider here in these best of 3 games. And it looks like it's just a burst roar. Yes, Raging Bolt's first attack, discard your hand and draw 6 cards. Pretty bad when you're burst roaring this late in the game, as our Archaludon player on the right starts their next turn. All right, boss's orders brings up a benched Pokemon with less than 220. Might as well be the Teal Mask Ogerpon that can get more energy in the play and draw more cards. And then Metal Defender for KO. Going down the 1 prize card on the right-hand side here. Top deck. On the left, benching a Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. Um, there's okay. There's some energy in the discard pile to be accelerated with Sadas, but where do you go from there, even if you take the KO? Earthen Vessel discards a Lightning Energy to search the deck for up to 2 basic energy to put into the hand. Ooh, nice Celebi grass and another grass found and added to the hand here off of this vessel. Okay, Night Stretcher will bring a resource back from the discard pile, and that Teal Mask Ogerpon EX that gets put onto the bench. Teal Mask number 1 accelerates grass energy, draw a card. Teal Mask number 2 does the same. On that Teal Mask Ogerpon EX times 2 on the bench. Nest Ball is found, so we're rebuilding this board. Searching the deck for a basic energy, or a basic Pokemon, excuse me, to put onto the bench. And the backup full art, Raging Bolt EX. Now, do we have Professor Sada's? And okay, yeah, there is Professor Sada's. We're looking for that lightning energy though, as the Raging Bolt EX's attack cost lightning and fighting. And there it was in the discard pile. So Professor Sada's Vitality accelerates energy from the discard pile, 1 each to each of the ancient Pokemon in play, to both of them, should I say, and then draws 3 cards. You guys know how this works by now, right? Bravery Charm, now put onto that bench, one of the bench Teal Mask Ogerpon, buffing its HP by plus 50. That Jamming Tower is not in play. It's in the lost zone, out of play for the rest of this game. But is it too little too late with 6 prize cards to 1 here? a great recovery here, and you do get the KO, but boss's orders, one card wins the opponent the game on the very next turn. If not, they still got some time to come back from that, or to respond to that. Either way, he forced them to have it. It looks like Ultra Ball being played here. Discarding two cards, search the deck for a Pokemon, basic or evolution, and it's the basic, ancient. Raging Bolt EX added to the hand now, thinning it out of the deck, getting more energy in the discard pile. Um, then another Teal Mask Ogre EX hits the board. Then a energy retrieval is played to get back two energy from the discard pile. And we're just going nuts here with the third uh, Teal Dance, accelerating a grass energy to that Ogre and drawing a card. We're swinging for a lot of damage here, but only need to get rid of, what, 5? Yep, energy. Okay. To take the KO with Bellowing Thunder on the opposing Archaludon EX. With how fast that Archaludon player is promoting this Archaludon, I think they've got it in hand. In that big hand, they do have a boss's orders that allows them to bring up Pokemon with less than 220 HP, since that's what Metal Defender does, to take the KO and the last two prize cards of this game too. That's how you know it's a good finals, is we're going to a game 3 here in the League Cup. March League Cup, right? 2025. This is what we want to see. Both of our players tied up 1-1. The player that wins the next game takes this cup. Let's get right to it. Skip ahead here. Oh, it looks like there was a mulligan involved. In the Pokemon trading card game, you draw, to start the game, you draw 7 cards from the top of the shuffled deck. You look at your hand and you see if you have a basic Pokemon there. If you don't have a basic, you show your opponent, you shuffle your hand back into your deck, and you try again. For each time you do that, the opponent gains a mulligan, or a chance to draw an additional card before the start of the game. That's signified by the die there. Just one mulligan taken on the left here as our players get ready to go in this game 3. Pheasantipity EX, oh no, versus Duraludon on the right. Our Duraludon player, oh, that's something to say too, I guess, is the player that loses the previous game in a best of 3 gets to choose whether they go first or second in the next game. Our Archaludon player chose first here. Interesting to see what players choose, knowing the matchups or blind, as they play a Earthen Vessel here on the right, discarding a Metal Energy to search the deck for up to 2 energy cards put into the hand. Double Metal, of course, found. And the player also takes a peek at their deck. The Pokemon trading card game, to set up, after you find your basic, you lay out 6 prize cards face down and only take them when you KO the opponent's Pokemon. So you got to look and see what's in the deck, because you're starting out with 6 less prize cards. Using the opportunity off of the first Earthen Vessel to do so, and then play an Ultra Ball, discarding 2 Metal Energy, doing a good job at getting that energy in the discard pile, because that's what their deck wants to do, as you guys have seen. To search the deck for another Duraludon, put that on the bench, and then the golden 1 frame per second Artisan is found and put into play. That stadium allows the player to search the deck for a basic Pokemon with no rule box and put it on the bench. So third Duraludon established. There is probably like 1 Pokemon in the opponent's deck that they can target with Artisan, so that's something to consider, is not giving your opponent access to that resource. But my general rule that I repeat all the time is you never stunt your growth to considering someone else's, something along those lines. So even though the opponent can take advantage of it, that you took advantage of it is all you should be caring about. 3 Duraludon down. Turn 1, finally, for our Archaludon player. And then they pass things over to our Raging Bolt player on the left. They put a replacement stadium in that Pokestop down, countering the Artisan, not even going to use it or look through their deck, and just go for this Pokestop. Discarding, oh no, well, lightning energy is just fine. The Squawkabilly is kind of suspect, but you did find the Night Stretcher, so okay, Pokestop here. Remember, discard the top three and add any items discarded that way to your hand. The rest stay discarded, of course. And then the Night Stretcher for that Squawkabilly EX, putting it into play. Is it a Squawk and Seize? That EX Pokemon with only 160 HP has the Squawk and Seize ability you can only use on your first turn. When you do, discard your hand and draw 6 fresh new cards. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, even though they didn't want to get rid of all those resources. There was an earthen vessel in hand, it looks like here, so maybe they could have at least played that. It'd be interesting to play back and see what other cards they could have played, but that's for the future here. Either way, the earthen vessel that I can see now could have been played to thin some energy out of the deck and more importantly get it in the discard pile with that Squawk and Seize. As you see, the Raging Bolt player was hurting for that last game. Either way, Raging Bolt EX and Latias EX found and put onto the bench off of that Squawkabilly, Squawk and Seize. Lightning Energy attached to the bench, Raging Bolt EX. Pheasantipity EX, free retreats out of the active spot thanks to Latias's EX. Skyliner ability, Raging Bolt, that can take a hit in the active spot. And is it a Bellowing Thunder? No, just a pass, wanting to preserve the resources in hand. As our player on the right starts their turn, discarding, wow, a Night Stretcher and a Metal Energy to search the deck for a Pokemon. Probably that Archaludon. No, actually Luminion. Okay, this is better since they had the one card in hand, and that's probably not a supporter. Luminion, found with Ultra Ball. Luminous Sign activated by benching it to search the deck for a supporter card in that Professor's Research being added to hand. Is that last card in hand playable? Okay, I mean, it's got to be discarded with Research, if not, to gain access to more resources to keep this turn going. And it is a Night Stretcher, so that's this perfect Professor Research here. Night Stretcher bringing back a Metal Energy, this time from the discard pile. It gets attached to the active Duraludon and Professor's Research, discarding 0 cards to draw 7 fresh new cards from the top of the deck. No fist bump or high five on that here. This is serious business as the Duraludon EX in the active evolves. Assemble Alloy assembles some Metal Energy from the discard pile to it, 2 of course, to the active Metal type Pokemon. Anything else to do but attack and start putting on the pressure. So our player eyes up their hand and deciding just that. Establishing a Dialga V, I was going to say, is good. So our player plays a Nest Ball. So search the deck for a basic Pokemon to put onto the bench. Could be another Duraludon, could be that Radiant Greninja, or could be the Origin Form Dialga V. Just depends on what's in deck, what's in hand, and what the player's strategy is. They're thinking deep and hard about this one in game 3 of the finals. They finally go with that Origin Form Dialga V off of that Nest Ball, establishing it and setting up the V-Star threat for future turns. Not hitting that Pokestop probably. I wouldn't. And yeah, just swing Metal Defender 220. Raging Bull EX tanks the hit on the left and play resumes on their side. Starting with Professor Sada's Vitality, accelerating from the discard pile, Fighting Energy, just one ancient Pokemon in play, so just one energy accelerated to it, but you got to do what you got to do to draw 3 cards and keep this board building and turn moving forward. Radiant Greninja, found and put onto the bench. It discards an energy to draw 2 cards with its ability, finding a Nest Ball. Nest Ball finds a Teal Mask Ogerpon EX, basic Pokemon, to hit the bench here and keep cycling through this turn. They can with Earthen Vessel in hand, so long as there's grass energy in deck, of course. And I bet there are. But why not grab it from the discarded pile with the Night Stretcher here? Accelerate that energy to the Teal Mask Ogrepon EX with its ability Teal Dance, and then draw a card. Doesn't count as attachment of energy per turn. As Earthen Vessel discards a Lightning Energy now to search the deck for 2 basic energy cards to put into the hand. And it will be that Fighting and Grass here that get added to the hand off of this vessel. That makes sense to keep future Teal Dance going. And next is Pokestop, discarding the top 3, and ooh, Bravery Charm and Raging Bolt discarded. Not the best discards there, especially only finding a Nest Ball. Can't Nest Ball when your bench is full. Sorry, that was a pop quiz. Can you Nest Ball when your bench is full? Let me know in the comments. As our player attaches for turn a grass energy to the bench, Teal Mask Ogrepon EX. Latias EX uses Skyliner to give the active free retreat. It retreats into that, excuse me, the Raging Bolt retreats into the Teal Mask Ogrepon EX, and then Prime Catcher is played. Remember that pink Ace Spec item card lets you pick a Pokemon on your opponent's bench to bring into the active spot, and then you do the same on your side. So okay, this is good for our Raging Bolt player here. That Origin Form Dialga V that was established last turn gets brought into the active spot with the Prime Catcher. Then the Raging Bolt gets pushed back into the active spot with the Prime Catcher over on the left, and the KO's there. 4 energy discarded means 280 damage with Bellowing Thunder, enough to KO the 220 HP Pokemon in front of it. The Metal Defender Archaludon moves into the active spot on the right, and play resumes there. KO is on board, but how do you set up yourself for the rest of the game is what our Archaludon player on the right is thinking. Double Duraludon on the bench can evolve. You can make more Archaludon, but you really wanted to make another, um, excuse me, you really wanted to establish that Origin Form Dialga V-Star. But now that that's gone, doesn't matter anymore. Let's go forward and play this Scoop Up Cyclone. Their pink Ace Spec item card allows them to pick up any Pokemon and all cards attached to it from the field into the hand. So Luminion V brought back into the hand. If the hand was dead, it can find another supporter and keep things going. But okay, this is good. Meadow Energy attached to the bench, Duraludon. And then actually going to play the Iono next. They already had a supporter in hand. So we remove that 170 HP Pokemon liability, 2 prize liability on the board, shuffle it back to the bottom of the deck for future use potentially. Remember, Iono has both players shuffle their hands, put them at the bottom of their deck, and then draw cards from the top equal to their remaining prize cards. As our Chaladon player assesses both players' discards piles here, seeing what resources have been used, and then play this Nest Ball, Golden, to search the deck for the basic Pokemon to put onto the board, onto the bench, re-establishing that Origin Form Dialga V. They're really valuing the V-Star as a way to get ahead in this matchup. I would probably do the same. The Prime Catcher's already gone. It's going to be harder for the opponent to do what they did last turn, potentially without, yeah, they can't boss and play Sadas at the same time. You can only play 1 supporter per turn in this game. Pheasantipity EX put onto the bench on the right-hand side, and then Flip the Script is used. Okay, its ability says if your opponent took a KO on their last turn, you could draw 3 cards with that ability. Flipping the script here, drawing 3 cards, getting more resources in the hand. Anything else to do? Nope, just knock out the opponent's Pokemon for 2 prize cards. The heavily damaged one, as a Teal Mask Ogerpon EX moves into the active spot. Play resumes on the left-hand side with a flip script of their own. Since the opponent took a KO, draw 3 prize cards with that ability. Next is Pokestop, discarding the top 3, and ooh, kind of painful discards there in the Grass Energy and Teal Mask Ogerpon. But I guess you don't care that the Ogerpon's discarded because you need a Raging Bolt for that 5th bench slot at least. Trekking Shoes looks at the top card of the deck. They always come in pairs. Finds another Trekking Shoes. Other Trekking Shoes is played, discarding the Ultra Ball to keep the next card. A third shoe. They come in triplets. Draws 1 more card. Finally finding that Professor Sada's Vitality. But you're going to only max accelerate to 1 ancient Pokemon this turn. Unless they bust out the Area Zero Underdepths, I guess. Assessing the discard pile, getting a count of the energy there. Plenty of energy in the discard pile this time, just missing the ancient Pokemon in play and Professor Sada's Vitality, I guess. So Earthen Vessel discards a Sandy Shocks to search the deck for 2 basic energy cards to put in hand. Grass and Fighting found there in that pretty thin deck here in this mid-ish game, mid-game. Player looks through their hand, trying to figure out the next play of Teal Dance, accelerating Grass Energy to that Ogerpon, and drawing a card, finding a Nest Ball, searching the deck for a basic Pokemon to put onto the bench, and finally finding that Raging Bolt EX. Gonna try to do something here. Our Raging Bolt player is, but yeah, there's just no way they can get the KO with Prime Catcher gone. I guess there's still Pokemon Catcher. So Professor Sada's Vitality, accelerate Lightning Energy to the ancient Raging Bolt EX and draw 3 cards. 2 ancients in play would have been better to accelerate more energy, but you gotta do what you gotta do. As Fighting Energy is attached to the bench, Raging Bolt EX. You really can only do a 140 this turn. Nah, I guess they could do the 210 with the free retreat. So the Skyliner Latias EX ability allows the active basic to retreat for free into the Raging Bolt EX. And are we punching? Yep, we're just swinging for 210 with Bellowing Thunder into this 300 HP monster on the right. Scary too, because they play things like that Scoop Up Cyclone, which was already used, or Professor Turo's Scenario to pick up those Pokemon, effectively healing them and undoing that last turn. As play resumes on the right-hand side here, the Archaludon side. Can we see a boss's orders? That can find Lumineon, this Ultra Ball can, discarding Relicanth and Metal Energy. The Ultra Ball is probably going to do. Yes, to search the deck for a Pokemon. Basic Revolution to put in hand, and it's actually going to be the Origin Form Dialga V-Star. Can we do the loop this turn, actually? Yeah, you can retreat, get more energy in the discard pile. You just need the double Duraludon. Combining with a boss would probably be better as well, but just is it all there? Pheasantipity EX is not live. Flip the script since no KO was taken on the opponent's last turn. So Archaludon #1 on the bench evolves. Assemble Alloy accelerates 2 Metal Energy from the discard pile to the Origin Form Dialga V-Star. Our player's trying to put it together here. Is it just a I have to swing turn? I really don't want to hit this Pokestop. My deck's not made to play with that kind of card. Even decks that are can be punished by it as well. That's why I won't miss it, because I was usually punished by that card. Anyways, this is about me. This is about the finals of this cup. As our Archaludon players eyeing up their hand and actually goes for the boss's orders. Okay, bringing up the Pheasantipity EX from the bench. This is a good move because you take the KO on it, you take 2 prize cards, and now your opponent's Pheasantipity is gone. To flip the script, the way they can come back and respond is taken away from them. So this is just fine here. Pheasantipity EX KOs the, or excuse me, Archaludon EX KOs the Pheasantipity EX for 2 prize cards. Raging Bolt stomps into the active spot on the left and play resumes there. Bravery Charm put onto the bench. Now, something I'm thinking a little more about that last turn. Our player really obviously valuing the V-Star Dialga here. Something else they could have did to make life harder for the Raging Bolt player was retreat and then actually accelerate or go into the fresh Archaludon EX, accelerating that had the energy, let's say, accelerated to it and swing with a fresh Archaludon EX and not worry about the Dialga right now, but we'll see how it works out for our player. There's merit to both plays here. As a player on the left, turn it is now, and they spend that fire Pokestop, discarding 3 item cards that instantly get added to the hand. But will they be enough for the player to come back as they play this Professor Sada's Vitality? Ugh, sadly for one. Yep, since there's only one ancient Pokemon in play, it gets an energy accelerated to it from the discard pile and then draw 3 cards with that Professor Sada's Vitality Supporter card. Oh my gosh. Our player just drew through their whole deck. Now, something to keep in mind, another win condition in the Pokemon trading card game is if your opponent cannot draw a card at the beginning of their next turn from their deck. Is there a Pel Pad in the hand or a way to get more cards into the deck? Next is a energy retrieval, getting back a couple energy from the discard pile. Or is our Raging Bolt player going out on their own terms here? Looking through the hand, I'm not seeing any way to shuffle cards back into the deck this turn. Our players are probably asking if Teal Dance can be used with a 0-card deck. I believe you can, but it just depends on how Teal Dance is worded. I'll trust our judge here. You guys look it up and tell me in the comments too. We'll move forward here as Teal Dance happens, accelerating grass energy to the bench. Teal Mask Ogre Pawnee X, no card drawn from the 0-card deck. Of course, energy attached to the active to power it up. Yep, and our Raging Bolt player going out on their own terms, KOing the opposing heavily damaged Archaludon EX with enough energy discarded, of course, with Bellowing Thunder for 2 more prize cards, tying things up, bringing it very close here in the game 3 of the finals of the Cup. But all our Archaludon player has to do is promote a Pokemon and pass to win the March 2025 League Cup Archaludon. What do you think of this video and the commentary? Please leave feedback in the comments. There wasn't even a Dialga. Yeah, there was a Dialga at least attacking in that series actually. But anyways, leave feedback in the comments, like this video, subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you to our players for letting their game be captured so we can all learn and enjoy. And I'll see you next time in the Professor's Lab.